Hello parents and welcome to the information session. This presentation will address the issues and concerns you have for NAPLAN and your child, remembering that although it's the same test for all students, their learning and assessment is personalised. How we make it personalised is through implementing the Australian curriculum, which is a progressive curriculum. It builds through a learning continuum. We'll address assessment strategies in reading, writing, and speaking and listening, and discuss reporting options, including parent-teacher interviews. Now, I'm sure you've seen this text before. It's Captain's Chronicle. It's our example text that the students can work through in order to prepare themselves for NAPLAN. Looking at question 7 in Captain's Chronicle, it's all to do with comprehension. Comprehension strategies need to be taught to our students so they can fully understand text as they develop their literacy skills. So referring to the Australian curriculum and the sub-strand of comprehension strategies, you can see at a year 3 level that students begin building literal and inferred meaning through to year 4, where they'll expand their context knowledge. So when they get to year 5, they can use comprehension strategies to analyse information. So back to Captain's Chronicle, in the first question, it's all to do with identifying the purpose of the text. So students need to develop an awareness of how text can be written for a specific purpose. This ensures the text that they create will achieve the purposes that they are written for. So again, let's refer to the Australian curriculum. We can see in the purpose, audience, and structures of different types of texts substrand, you can see the flow-on continuum through years 3 to 5, where students by the end of year 5 will understand how texts vary in purpose, structure, and topic, as well as their degree of formality. This third example of a question in Captain's Chronicle is all to do with about language devices, which are a way of creating written text or an image using codes or conventions to manipulate or encourage a reader to react, think, or feel in a particular way. An example of this is using metaphors. And then looking at the Australian curriculum, we can see that language devices in literary texts at a year 5 level include the learning of metaphors. So here's the examples of the units of work that we've been looking at through years 3 to years 5. And you can see the English concepts of purpose, comprehension, and language devices flow on right through all 3 units. So this paints a great picture as to show the progression and learning continuum of the Australian curriculum. Shifting our focus to NAPLAN, we can see that the NAPLAN marking guide is actually a progressive learning continuum, and it actually replicates the Australian curriculum. To critically evaluate NAPLAN, we must address that it has both benefits and limitations. Crucial benefits using NAPLAN include that it can improve teaching, it improves transparency and accountability of schools. It also provides that accountability for more than $50 billion of taxpayer money going into schools every year. Some limitations can include that generally timed multiple choice questions only allow for one correct answer, and teachers can rush through the curriculum in preparation for this test, which may cause superficial understanding of concepts. Ultimately, NAPLAN forms just a part of our students' assessment. Assessment endeavours to create an understanding where students, either individually or as a group, have reached in their learning at a particular point in time. The time of delivery in the learning process and reason for assessment can change an assessment into formative or summative. These are the 2 basic forms of assessment. It is important to note that teachers will use a combination of formative assessment and summative assessment to provide a complex and diverse picture as to where the learning progress is of your child. When these assessments are used together, we can set high expectations for your children in writing, speaking and listening, and reading. One of the writing assessments we use with our students is portfolios, which can include various pieces that include writing tasks, classroom assignments and projects, as well as individual commentary by both the teacher and the student. Students will benefit with this variety in assessment as it involves them and they become responsible for it. This leads to student-led accountability and provides concrete evidence of student work. Some of the limitations may be that students have to take a proactive approach and take ownership. Therefore, there may be some potential to lose interest and sense of pride in their work. But ultimately, using the student directly provides a more meaningful assessment in the learning process. The various ways we use oral language as we receive and also convey meaning to others is speaking and listening. A great way to assess this is through peer assessment. A class presentation assessment utilises a rubric which provides students feedback from their peers on the quality of their work. It captures attention and encourages collaboration through co-constructed learning. However, we need to ensure that there is no bias in the assessment, as extroverts can tend to score higher than introverted students. Reading conferences are a great way to assess your child's reading. They're an inclusive assessment where the teacher will highlight learning opportunities so the student can better understand how they learn. Feedback is explicit and provides context for the student so they understand their areas of progression as they take full ownership of their learning. It's definitely suited to confident readers as it follows an independent reading session. So once we've got all these results from our assessments, we need to use it effectively. One of the great ways we use it here is through our parent-teacher interviews. They provide a forum to share successes and challenges in learning and behaviour. We can celebrate achievements, and it invites a partnership with you, the parents, with us, the teachers. However, due to their limited time frame, and they can only be held once or twice a year, we need to provide other opportunities, as for example an open door policy, to ensure the communication lines between parents, teachers and the student remain open. So in summary, we've discussed the assessment strategies and reporting options in writing, speaking and listening and reading to ensure that yes, your child is ready for NAPLAN. Now just remember, we have an open door policy here at the classroom. Otherwise, if you have any questions, be sure to shoot through an email. Thank you for listening, and I'll speak to you soon.